Hello, my dear listeners. I am Dr. Prinpreet, and today we will be talking about the second part of economic theory of crime and punishment. Now, let me first introduce the topic one more time. According to Gary Becker's original 1960s article, Economic Theory of Crime and Punishment, people commit crime because they weigh the costs and benefits of their actions rationally. This idea has had a big impact on how legislators approach law enforcement and crime prevention, which has resulted in a lot of different applications and policy consequences. Economic theory has a significant impact on criminal justice practices, especially the rational choice model and Becker's economic approach to crime. Policymakers may create more effective ways to deter crime, strike a balance between punishment and rehabilitation, and maximize the financial rewards of crime prevention initiatives by viewing the criminals as rational individuals who assess the advantages and disadvantages of engaging in illicit activity. An extensive examination of these uses and ramifications has been done further. Use of economic theory for formulating a criminal justice policy framework. Economic theories in crime control suggest that individuals engage in criminal activities based on the potential rewards versus the risks of being caught and punished. This model suggests that increasing the cost of committing a crime, such as higher probability of apprehension or harsher penalties, can deter the individuals from offending. Policy design based on economic theory includes investments in law enforcement and surveillance technology, focusing on the severity of punishment and swifter administration of punishment. Targeted crime prevention is also supported, where resources are focused on high-risk areas or groups based on statistical data, optimizing the allocation of limited resources to maximize crime reduction. Second point here is drafting appropriate deterrence-based strategies. Creating policies based on deterrence is one of the most obvious uses of the economic theory of crime. The idea states that people are less likely to conduct crimes if the expected costs are greater than the expected rewards, such as the possibility of being caught and penalized. Marginal deterrence is the principle that penalties should be proportionate to the crime's severity, preventing criminals from committing more serious crimes. Effective deterrence strategies increase penalties progressively with the crime's severity, discouraging escalation. Cost-effective law enforcement involves optimizing resource allocation, focusing on high crime areas, using predictive policing techniques, and employing cost-benefit analysis. Behavioral economics can also be used to refine deterrence strategies, such as increasing the visibility of law enforcement to influence perceptions of detection probability. Balancing deterrence with public trust is crucial, as overly aggressive deterrence can lead to lower cooperation and increased criminal behavior in marginalized communities. Therefore, effective deterrence strategies must balance strict enforcement with maintaining public confidence. Third point, maintaining a balance between punishment and rehabilitation. Economic theory highlights the role of rehabilitation in reducing recidivism alongside punishment as a deterrent. Rehabilitation programs like education, vocational training, and drug treatment can increase the opportunity cost of committing crimes. Economic evaluation of rehabilitation programs should consider the cost-benefit analysis, including reduced reincarceration costs, lower crime rates, and rehabilitated contributions. Policies should also incorporate economic incentives for rehabilitation, such as reducing sentences for participation and completion. Balancing long-term gains and short-term gains is crucial, as heavy reliance on punishment can lead to diminishing returns over time. Fourth point is the economic impact of crime prevention programs. Crime prevention programs such as community policing, early childhood education, and social services can significantly reduce the need for costly interventions like imprisonment. These programs can result in direct costs, indirect benefits like economic growth, increased property values, lower insurance costs, and long-term savings by reducing the future criminal justice burden. Empirical evidence suggests that early intervention programs, particularly those focusing on children and youth, provide a high return on investment, with the high-quality preschool programs showing significant reductions in future criminal behavior. Further, we discussed the prospects of reforming the criminal justice system based on economic theory. Now, economic theories can be used to reform criminal justice, advocating for a fair and efficient system. This includes re-evaluating the proportionality of punishment, addressing overcriminalization, and implementing restorative justice approaches. Economic theories can help to identify and eliminate laws that criminalize minor offenses excessively, allowing the justice system to better allocate resources and reduce incarceration costs. Restorative justice focuses on repairing the harm caused by crime rather than punishing the offender. Policy recommendations include sentencing reform, encouraging innovation through economic incentives, and public-private partnerships and data-driven policy making, which uses economic models and empirical data to inform decisions on resource allocation, program funding, and legal reforms. These reforms aim to reduce the economic and social costs associated with retributive justice systems. Next point here is enhancement in the degree of punishment or law enforcement. Now, according to the argument, there is an effective deterrent to crime if the likelihood of detection and arrest is increased. Policies that fund more law enforcement manpower, surveillance equipment, and community policing initiatives have resulted from this. The goal is to discourage criminal activity by fostering an atmosphere in which the would-be offenders believe that they have a good chance of being detected. In response to this argument, policymakers have frequently toughened up the penalties for a variety of offences. As a result, three-strike statutes, mandatory minimum terms, and harsher punishments for repeat offenders have been put into place. The reasoning behind this is that people will be discouraged from committing crimes by heavier fines. Next here is the point of allocation of resources and efficiency. In order to get the best possible degree of crime prevention, resources should be distributed effectively according to the economic theory of crime. Reducing crime to a point where the marginal cost and benefit of more crime reduction are equal is the aim, not total eradication of crime. Using the idea of specific interventions, policymakers have created focused initiatives that target high crime regions or particular categories of criminal activity. For example, resources may be focused on neighborhoods with high rates of violent crime, or locations where drug trafficking is most common could receive special attention in the fight against it. This strategy concentrates on the most important issues in order to optimize the effect of few resources. The cost-benefit analysis for prevention of crime. The notion promotes the assessment of crime prevention tactics using cost-benefit analysis. The efficiency of policies in decreasing crime in relation to their costs is what determines how good they are. As a result, there is now more focus on evidence-based policy making in which initiatives are evaluated and scaled up or down according to their proven effectiveness. Cost-benefit analysis is a method used to assess the economic efficiency of crime prevention strategies. It compares the costs of implementing a crime prevention program with the benefits that it provides, primarily in terms of reduced crime. The analysis includes direct costs such as implementation costs, operational costs, opportunity costs, and indirect costs such as social and economic costs. The primary benefits include a reduction in the crime rates, reduced burden on the criminal justice system, and increased property values. Indirect benefits include improved quality of life, increased property values, and economic growth as safer neighborhoods attract businesses and promote more economic development. The primary goal here is to determine whether a particular crime prevention strategy is worthwhile or not. The analysis is crucial for policymakers to determine the effectiveness of crime prevention strategies. Incentive systems and the reduction of crime. The economic theory of crime suggests that incentives influence people's behavior, leading to the development of incentive programs to deter crime and encourage moral behavior. This can be achieved by increasing the opportunity costs such as social services, employment prospects, and education to reduce the attraction of criminal activity. Initiatives like vocational training for at-risk adolescents can also help reduce crime as a less appealing alternative. Rehabilitation programs, which change the cost-benefit analysis of ex-offenders, can also help to reduce recidivism by highlighting the benefits of law-abiding behavior and diminishing the perception of crime as necessary or attractive. Further, legal and judicial consequences. The approach to judicial and legal procedures has emphasized efficiency and deterrence, influencing sentencing guidelines and legal doctrine formulation. Countries have implemented guidelines based on the seriousness of the offense and the offender's criminal history to standardize punishment. These guidelines aim to strike a balance between deterrence and proportionality, often influenced by economic concerns. Now, next we move on to discuss the additional theories and arguments that go in the framework of crime and punishment. Though they have had a substantial impact on criminal justice policy, economic theories, especially those that emphasize rational choice and deterrence, are not without their limitations. Various psychological and sociological theories present distinct viewpoints on the reasons for criminal behavior, highlighting elements such as psychological well-being, social surroundings, and systematic disparities. These alternative methods frequently critique the rationality presumptions of the economic model as well as its comparative disregard for more extensive social aspects. Psychological and sociological approach to crime. In this, we discuss the psychological theories of crime first. These ideas emphasize the importance of individual differences in personality, mental health, and cognitive processes. These theories argue that rational choice alone cannot fully understand crime, as many offenders suffer from psychological conditions that impair their decision-making abilities. Personality traits like impulsivity, aggression, and lack of empathy may be associated with criminal behavior, making individuals more prone to risky or illegal actions. Mental illnesses like depression, anxiety, or schizophrenia can also contribute to criminal behavior, reducing an individual's ability to make rational decisions. Cognitive distortions, such as justifying harmful behavior or misinterpreting social cues, can contribute to criminal activities, and cognitive behavioral interventions aim to address these distortions. Now, what are the sociological theories? The sociological theories focus on the influence of social structures, relationships, and cultural norms on behavior. They differ from the economic model, which focuses on individual decision making. Social strain theory suggests that society sets up cultural goals but does not provide equal means for achieving them, leading the individuals to resort to crime. Social learning theory suggests that criminal behavior is learned through interaction with others, particularly in environments where crime is prevalent. Labeling theory suggests that being labeled as a criminal can reinforce criminal behavior, leading to social exclusion, limited opportunities, and reduced self-esteem. Social disorganization theory attributes crime to the breakdown of social institutions, with communities with high poverty, unemployment, and residential mobility having weaker social structures, leading to higher crime rates. The role of poverty and social inequality. Poverty is a significant social factor linked to crime, as individuals may resort to crime due to necessity, desperation, or a lack of legitimate opportunities. Economic theories that fail to account for poverty may overlook critical drivers of criminal behavior. Economic marginalization, where individuals or communities are excluded from the mainstream economy, can increase the likelihood of engaging in criminal activities, especially in environments where crime is a viable means of survival. Social strain theory highlights that the frustration and strain caused by the gap between societal goals and available means often more pronounced in impoverished communities, leading to higher crime rates. Social inequality, including disparities in income, education, and access to resources, can contribute to crime by fostering resentment, alienation, and social unrest. Relative deprivation suggests that individuals who perceive themselves as disadvantaged are more likely to engage in criminal behavior as a way of leveling the playing field or expressing their discontent. Discrimination based on race, ethnicity, or gender can exacerbate social inequalities and contribute to higher crime rates among the marginalized groups. Third point, that is impact of education and employment opportunities. Education is a critical factor in reducing crime because it provides individuals with the skills, the knowledge, and the opportunities that reduce the appeal of criminal activities. Education also increases human capital, making individuals more valuable in the labor market, and develops cognitive and social skills that help individuals make better decisions and resist peer pressure. Access to stable, well-paying employment is another key factor in preventing crime because it provides a legitimate means of supporting oneself and their families, reducing the incentive to engage in illegal activities. Economic stability from employment can reduce the likelihood of crime driven by financial desperation. Social integration from work is also important as it helps individuals form positive social connections and develop a sense of responsibility and belonging. However, systemic barriers to education and employment, such as discrimination, inadequate schools, and lack of job opportunities, can perpetuate the crime cycles. Integration of the multidisciplinary approaches. Let us discuss this now. A comprehensive approach to understanding crime involves integrating economic, psychological, and sociological insights. This multidisciplinary approach acknowledges that crime is influenced by various factors such as individual decision-making, mental health, social environment, and structural inequalities. Integrating behavioral economics with traditional economic models can provide a nuanced understanding of criminal behavior, allowing the policymakers to design more effective interventions. Understanding the social context in which crime occurs is crucial for applying economic theories effectively. Policies should be tailored to address specific social conditions and inequalities contributing to crime in different communities. Incorporating psychological support into crime prevention and rehabilitation programs can also address the underlying psychological factors that contribute to criminal behavior. The policy implications of a multidisciplinary approach. Holistic crime prevention strategies should combine economic incentives, social support, and psychological interventions such as education, job training, mental health services, and addressing social inequalities. Policies should be tailored to specific populations, and a multidisciplinary approach should be used to evaluate policy effectiveness, assessing outcomes, and refining interventions over time. Now further, we will discuss what is the empirical evidence of economic theory of crime and punishment. When assessing the viability and relevance of economic theories of crime and punishment, empirical data is essential. Theoretical models offer a structure for comprehending criminal behavior and the consequences of different policies. Nevertheless, empirical research and case studies aid in the practical validation of these ideas. This part of the study looks at the empirical evidence supporting economic theories, compares the crime rates across nations with varying approaches to punishment, looks at the effect of harsh sentencing on crime rates, and talks about the difficulties involved in doing empirical research on crime and punishment. The first way to do that is empirical studies that support economic theories. Now, Gary Becker's paper, published in 1968, titled as Crime and Punishment: An Economic Approach, introduced the concept of economic analysis to criminal behavior. Becker's model suggests that individuals commit crimes when the expected utility of criminal activity outweighs the utility of legal activities. Numerous empirical studies have supported this theory, including the studies on deterrence, effectiveness of fines and imprisonment, and marginal deterrence. Research has also shown that increased police presence and higher arrest rates are associated with reduction in certain types of crime, particularly the property crimes. However, the effectiveness of these penalties varies depending upon the type of crime, the targeted population, and the broader social context. Additionally, the concept of marginal deterrence suggests that penalties should be proportionate to the severity of the crime, as similar penalties may increase the likelihood of offenders committing more severe crimes. Labor market opportunities. Research shows that economic factors such as access to education, employment, and social services can reduce recidivism rates. Rehabilitation and social support can increase the opportunity cost of criminal behavior, and additionally, it improves labor market opportunities for ex-offenders and can significantly reduce re-offending. The policies that target former prisoners can lower the recidivism rates. Now we discuss the case study on the economic theory of crime and punishment in India. India's crime landscape is complex due to its diverse socio-economic landscape, varying law enforcement practices, and significant challenges in crime and justice. This case study of India explores the application of economic theories to understand crime in India, focusing on the deterrent effects of punitive measures, the impact of socio-economic factors, and the effectiveness of law enforcement strategies. India recorded over 7 million cognizable crimes in the year 2020, reflecting a steady increase over the years. Now, what are the laws that pertain to the death penalty and sentencing in India? The Indian Penal Code, which is now called the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, stipulates harsh penalties for a number of crimes, including the death penalty for serious crimes, including terrorism and murder. Although there is a controversy around the death sentence, the supporters contend that it is an effective deterrent to heinous offences. Mandatory minimum sentences. The strict punishments, including mandatory minimum sentences, are enforced by the laws like the Narcotics, Drug and Psychotropic Substances Act, which is also called the NDPS, and the Prevention of Terrorism Act. The deterrent effectiveness of them appears to have varied effects according to the empirical studies. What is the effect of enhanced law enforcement on crime rates? Increased police presence and proactive strategies have been linked to reduced crime rates in metropolitan areas like Mumbai and Delhi. The Mumbai police implemented a community policing model to enhance public trust and engagement, leading to a notable decrease in property crimes. Crime mapping and data analytics allowed effective resource allocation and increased perceived risks for potential offenders. Now, what are the effects of the legislative reforms? India has implemented legislative reforms to combat rising violent crime, particularly against women. The Nirbhaya Act, which was enacted after the 2012 Delhi gang rape case, introduced stringent penalties for sexual offences, including the death penalty for gang rape. While the law temporarily decreased reported cases, the long-term impact remains debated because of underreporting and societal stigma. Now we discuss the socio-economic factors that affect the crime rate in India. Poverty and unemployment is one of the major factors. The Indian criminal justice system is significantly shaped by economic concerns. Crime thrives in those areas which have high rates of unemployment and poverty. Here we discuss a case study of economic prospects in the rural areas. People in remote areas are more likely to engage in illegal activities like stealing and smuggling because they have less access to jobs and educational possibilities. The measures to increase employment in rural areas like the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, Manrega as we call it, have demonstrated the ability to lower the crime rates by offering substitute means of subsistence. Social inequality and crime. The criminal behavior can be exacerbated further by social hierarchies and inequality. And in this case also we discuss a case study which talks about the violence based on caste. Violence motivated by caste, especially against underprivileged groups, emphasizes how social and economic forces interact. According to economic theories, reducing social inequality and giving marginalized groups the access to the economy can lessen the violence and foster social cohesiveness. Now, I would like to conclude my discussion. A strong foundation for comprehending crime and developing efficient criminal justice policy is provided by the economic theory. Policy makers can create a criminal justice system that is more logical, economical, and compassionate by concentrating on deterrence, rehabilitation, and the financial effects of different treatments. To represent the intricacies of social justice and human behavior, these ideas must be modified and combined with knowledge from other fields. With this, we are coming to the end of today's lecture. Thank you so much.